theorem, I'm going to read you the theorem. I'm going to tell you the shortcut that we are allowed to use in proofs for the theorem, and then I will explain the theorem to you. If angles are supplementary to the same angle, they are congruent. Shortcut. Subs of the same angle are congruent. And all the symbols I use, you can use. Subs of the same angle are congruent. You can memorize the full theorem or you can memorize the shortcut. It doesn't matter, but you do need to memorize. Okay, did everybody write that down? Can I explain to you what this means now? So let's say we have three angles. Let's say I have angle A, I have angle B, and then I have angle C. And let's say I told you angle C was 100 degrees. And let's say I told you some given information that angle A is sup to angle C, and I also told you angle B is sup to angle C. Well, if angle A is a supplement to angle C, what does that mean the measure of angle A has to be? If angle A is a supplement to angle C. Nora? 80. Since A is a supplement to C, we know they have to add up to 180 together. If B is a supplement to C, what does that mean angle B has to be? 80. So what can we conclude about angle A and angle B? They are congruent. Yeah, they are congruent. So what does this theorem say? This theorem tells us if we have two angles, for example, A and B, and they both have the same supplement, they're both supplements to that same angle C, A and B have to be congruent. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. Next one. Theorem, I'm going to read you the theorem, I'll tell you the shortcut, and then I'll explain it to you. If angles are supplementary to congruent angles, then they are congruent. Shortcut. Subs of congruent angles are congruent. Write it down, and then I'll explain it to you. So once again, I'm going to have angles. Let's say I have angle A, I have angle B, I have angle C, and I have angle D. And let's say I told you once again angle C is 100 degrees. And let's also say I gave you some information. The given information is that angle A is a supplement. Oops, sorry. And tell you that angle C is congruent to angle D. Angle C is congruent to angle D. I'm also going to tell you that angle A is a supplement to angle C, and that angle B is a supplement to angle D. Okay, so let's go through this. We were told in the given angle C is congruent to angle D. So what does that mean for angle D? It has to be how many degrees? Safia? 100. And now if angle A is a supplement to angle D, what does that mean for angle A? If angle A is a supplement for angle D, 80 degrees, you got it. And then if angle B is a supplement to angle D, what does that mean for angle B? It has to be 80 degrees. What can we conclude about angle A and angle B?
Angle A and angle B are congruent.
Good. Angle A and angle B are congruent. So what do I need you to know? Because there's not going to be numbers in proofs. There's not going to be any numbers in proofs. It's saying if we have two angles that are congruent, so I told you C and D are congruent, the supplements of those two angles also have to be congruent. So if we have two angles that are congruent, so C and D were congruent, the supplements of those two angles, A and B, also have to be congruent to each other. So subs of congruent angles are congruent. Right, now we're going to do the same two theorems again, but instead of sup angles, we're going to talk about comp angles. So it says if angles are complementary to the same angle, then they are congruent. Ready for the shortcut? Comps of the same angle are congruent. All right, let me explain to you what that means. So let's say I told you angle Q is a complement to angle T, and I also told you angle R is a complement to angle T. Oh my goodness.
Bro, I was looking at my Chromebook.
Really, guys? Class. Go. Get to class.
Why am I getting picked on, man?
I got you, Dimitri. I'll beat them up. All right. So here we have angle Q is a complement to angle T, angle R is a complement to angle T. So what does that mean? If Q is a complement to angle T, what does that mean angle Q has to be? AJ?
60 degrees.
60 degrees. And if angle R is a complement to angle T, what does that mean for angle R? It has to be 60 degrees. What can we conclude? Ethan? Angle Q is congruent to angle R. So what does that mean? If we have two angles that are both complementary to the same angle, those two angles have to be congruent. Comps of the same angle are congruent. All right, and the last theorem that you must memorize. If angles are complementary to congruent angles, then they are congruent. Anybody have a guess on what the shortcut for this is going to be, looking above for what we've done before? What is the shortcut for this going to be? Michael?
Comps of congruent angles are congruent.
You got it. You got it. Comps of congruent angles are congruent, and we can absolutely use the symbols. So again, now we're dealing with four angles. And let's say angle T is 30 degrees. And let's say I am telling you in the given information, angle T is congruent to angle P. Angle Q is a complement to angle T. And angle R is a complement to angle P. What conclusion can we come to? We ready? All right, so if angle T is congruent to angle P, what does that mean for angle P? It must be, everybody, what must it be? 30 degrees. If angle Q is a complement to angle T, that means angle Q is 60 degrees. If angle R is a complement to angle P, that means angle R has to be 60 degrees. What can we conclude?
Angle Q is congruent to angle R.
You got it. Angle Q is congruent to angle R. All right, once again, there won't be numbers in the proofs. So what do we need to recognize? If we have two angles that are congruent, so here I told you T and P are congruent, the complements of those angles also have to be congruent. Comps of congruent angles are congruent. You need to memorize this. You need to memorize these theorems, those 4 theorems. When I see you next, whenever that is, I think Tuesday, do I see you? I don't know. Whenever I see you next, you will have a do now quiz on this, meaning I will just give you a sheet of paper. You will write down the 4 theorems. You will hand in that sheet of paper. I will grade it and give you a grade. Okay? That's all it is. Blank sheet of paper, tell you to write down the 4 theorems we learned, hand it back into me, I grade it. Yes, we understand? Great. All right, let's do some sample problems. Here's a proof. First thing we always do is write out our given. Angle 1 is a supplement to angle 2. Angle 3 is a supplement to angle 4. And angle 1 is congruent to angle 4. That's all of our given. Okay. So there's no real tick mark. There's no real markings for supplementary or complementary angles. So I made up my own. I sort of just do stars and dots. So when it says angle 1 is a sub to angle 2, just so I know there's a relationship, I put a star in angle 1 and angle 2. Then it tells us angle 3 is a supplement to angle 4. So since I already used the star, now I'll just put like a dot. So angle 3 and angle 4. All right, this we can mark. It says angle 1's congruent to angle 4. Angle 1's congruent to angle 4. How do we mark that? With a loop, right? Now, we want to prove that angle 2's congruent to angle 3. All right, so what do we need to realize? 1 and 4 are congruent. 1's a supplement to 2, and 4 is a supplement to 3. Didn't we just learn a theorem that dealt with supplement and congruent angles? So if 2 angles are congruent, they're supplements. Aren't they also congruent? What was the shortcut for their subs of, was it the same angle or congruent angles? Congruent angles. Subs of congruent angles are congruent. That was the theorem we just learned. Remember, I told you in the proofs there won't be any numbers to make that connection. It's all just based on the given. So Statement 2, we're going to say angle 2 is congruent to angle 3, and the reason is going to be subs of congruent angles are congruent. All right, we ready for another one? Next proof. Angle A is a complement to angle C. So remember, there's no real markings. I just put stars. Oh, sorry, we got to write out our given. Let's go ahead, write out our given. Angle A comp angle C. Angle DBC comp angle C. Oh, and the conclusion I want you to do is I want you to prove angle A congruent to angle DBC. All right, so I'm going to put stars and dots. So angle A star is a complement to angle C star. Then it says angle DBC, follow the letters D to B to C. So I'll put a dot there, is also a complement to angle C. So I'll put a dot there. Well, if angle A is a complement to angle C and angle DBC is a complement to angle C, can't we conclude that angle A and angle DBC have to be congruent? Yeah, so statement 2, we're going to say angle A is congruent to angle DBC. Who thinks they know which of the 4 theorems we're using here? Which of the 4 theorems will we use? Only Michael knows? I think more people will know. Annalena? Almost perfect. In the given, did it say sub?
Oh, I mean comp.
Good. Comps of the same angle are congruent. Comps of the same angle are congruent. All right, we ready? So this is going to be more than 2 steps. This is going to be more than 2 steps. So let's go through this. Write out our given. All right, what is it that we want to prove? We want to prove angle HFE. I'm going to call that angle 1 so I can address it as angle 1. We want to show that angle HFE, which I called angle 1, is congruent to angle GFJ, which I'm calling angle 2. This one's not going to be as obvious. This one's not going to be as obvious. All right, my question to you is the given information was not helpful. There was no conclusions to make. There was nothing to mark from the given information. So we have to go by what we are allowed to what? Assume. What is the only thing we are allowed to assume? Well, good. Do you see any straight angles here? We're just going step by step and trying to put things together. Do you see any straight angles in this diagram? Yeah, which ones? Jeff?
HFJ and JFE.
Good. What do I have to put in front of them when I name them? How do I name it, Jeff?
Straight
No, when I'm writing it down as a straight angle.
GFE. Well,
So-
ST angle. Big.
So you said GFE, so you'd write it just like that?
No, with the line
Okay, that's what I was getting at. That means it's what? No, don't write it. That means it's what? With the line over it. It means,
Segment.
that means it's a segment. What?
Angle on the side.
Yep, that's what you meant. All right, so we're going to say good. Angle GFE equals straight angle. What else? Is there another angle? Is there another straight angle? Omar? Good. Angle HFJ equals straight angle. And what's our reason for saying these straight angles? What did we do? Assumed. All right, let me highlight what we have here. So let's start off with GFE, the straight angle. And then I'll highlight the other straight angle, HFJ. So we have the yellow straight angle, we have the green straight angle. Stick with me for a second. Do you all see angle EFJ? I'm going to call it angle 3. Follow where I'm going with this. What is the relation between angle 1 and angle 3? Symmetry?
They're supplements
They're supplements. Why?
because they're at angles that make up a straight angle.
Excellent. Angle 1 and angle 3, if you add them together, wouldn't they make angle HFJ? Somebody tell me, what's the relationship between angle 2 and angle 3, and how do you know? What's the relationship between angle 2 and angle 3, and how do you know? Sophia?
They're supplements because they make up angle EFG.
Excellent. They're supplements because they make angle EFG. If we add angle 2 and angle 3 together, they make that straight angle. So listen to where I'm going with this. 1 is a supplement to 3, and 2 is a supplement to 3. 1's a supplement to 3, 2's a supplement to 3. Didn't we learn a theorem about that? What did the theorem say? Subs of what? Michael?
Subs of the same angle are congruent.
Subs of the same angle are congruent. So if 1's a supplement to 3 and 2's a supplement to 3, wouldn't 1 and 2 be congruent because they're both supplements to the same angle? Okay, so this is where we're going. So in my proof, all I did was declare the straight angles. But now that I declared the straight angles, do you think I should say that 1 and 3 are supplements and 2 and 3 are supplements? Yeah, we have to tell the reader that. So let's go ahead. And step number 3, I'm going to say angle 1 sup angle 3 and angle 2 sup angle 3. And that's just def of sup. 2 angles that make a straight angle. That's the definition of supplementary angle. So this is just def of sup. Now that I declared that 1's a supplement to 3 and 2's a supplement to 3, can I prove angle 1 and 2 congruent? Absolutely. So angle 1's congruent to angle 2. Who thinks they know the reason for this? Omar.
Subs of the same angle are congruent.
Excellent. Subs of the same angle are congruent. Amanda? I'm sorry? Absolutely. Amanda had a great question. She said, if we were taking a test, could we just replace the angles with numbers and just use the numbers like we did here? 110% you can do that. And as we get into more complicated proofs, you're going to see that I'm doing that all the time. All right, this is going to be another lengthy proof. Be another one. All right, I'm not going to write out the given right now to save time, but on a test, would you have to write out the given? Yes. All right, let's go through the given and make some conclusions. It says, can somebody read me that first line of given information? Somebody read that to me. What does that say? Amanda? Excellent. Segment KM is perpendicular to segment MO. What can we conclude from that? Segment KM is perpendicular to segment MO, sorry. Ethan?
Angle KMO is a right angle.
Excellent. Do you think I need to write that down in my proof?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I'm going to say in step number 2, angle KMO equals a right angle. What's going to be the reason? What's the reason? Milo? Def of perpendicular. You got it. All right, I'm not going to close up this line yet. I'm not going to close up this line. Why am I not closing up line for number 2? Why am I not closing it up? Well,
Because PO is also perpendicular to MO.
exactly, because PO is also perpendicular to MO. So what can we conclude with that if PO is perpendicular to MO? Mia, tell me, what can I conclude if PO is perpendicular to MO? Excellent. So angle POM equals a right angle. And it's the same reason, so I put it in the same step. All right, we're not done. We still have more given to go through. All right, so now it says angle KMR. I'm going to call that angle 1. Angle 1, KMR, is congruent to angle POR, which I'm going to call angle 2. What is it that we want to prove? We want to prove that angle ROM, I'm going to call it angle 3, is congruent to angle RMO, which I call angle 4. All right, let's think about this. Let's have some thoughts. Make my day. Have a thought that works out for me. Make me proud. Let's find some relationships here. We already know we have the right angles, right? We declared that in our proof. We identified the right angles. So within those right angles, make relationships for me. Any relationships that you see right now in our diagram? 2 people, 3 people, 4 people, 5, 6, yay, we're getting there, making me proud. 7, can we get to 10? 7 people have a thought, come on. 8, 2 more people have a thought, 2 more people. Make relationships from these diagrams for those angles. All right, Ishita, tell me.
Angle 1 complements angle 4.
Excellent. Don't these 2 make a right angle? So aren't they complements to each other? And then these 2 make a right angle, so aren't they complements to each other? So let's write that out in our proof. So I'm going to write angle 1 comp, angle 4, and in the same step, I'm going to say angle 2 comp, angle 3. And our reason is just the definition of comp, def of comp. This step was a game changer for us. This step was a game changer because think back to our 4 theorems that you have to memorize. 1 and 2 are congruent, 4 is a complement to 1, 3 is a complement to 2. Was there a theorem about complements and congruent angles? Yeah, Nora, what was it? Comps of congruent angles are congruent. So we can say what we want to prove. I named them with numbers, so I can say angle 3 is congruent to angle 4. That's what we want to prove. Comps of congruent angles are congruent. All right, I'm going to put a star here because this is such an easy question, and there's going to be one like this on your quiz, but for some reason, students mess it up. You don't want to mess this up. This is like an easy, like 5 points or 6 points on your quiz. You really don't want to mess this up. All right, so let's see what's going on here. This is just, this is not a proof. So it says angle 2 is a complement to angle 3, not congruent, complement. For some reason, students mix up the word congruent and complement. If two angles are congruent, aren't they the same? If two angles are complements, what does that mean? They add up to 90. They add up to 90. So if two angles are congruent, they're the same. If two angles are complements, they add up to 90. Then it says angle 4 is 131 degrees. So I'm going to go here, 131 degrees. And I need to find basically all these other angles. As of right now, it says angle 2 is a complement to angle 3. Do I know angle 3? No. Do I know angle 2 right now? No. So the only angle I know is angle 4, so I'm going to work around angle 4. So if I know angle 4, does anybody see a relationship between angle 4 and any of the other angles? Joe?
It's supplementary to angle 5.
Excellent. Angle 4 is a supplement to angle 5. What does that mean? They add up to what number together? 180. So to find angle 5, I know it's going to be 180 minus 131. And that's going to be 49 degrees. All right, keep going. Tell me more. Now that we know angle 5, tell me more relationships that you see. Let's finish this side of the diagram. Ethan.
Angle 5 is supplement to angle 6.
Excellent. Right now, we see the straight angle right here. Do we see that? Between 5 and 6, they're supplements. So what does that mean? Angle 6 has to be what number? 131. All right, we need to find angle 3. What do you all see? Milo? The vertical angles. Yes, angle 3 and angle 5 are vertical angles, but I didn't teach you that. So if you know that, awesome. But if you didn't know that, can somebody tell me how else we would figure out number 3? Omar? Angle 3 is a supplement to angle 6. Isn't angle 3 also a supplement to angle 4? Yeah, so either way, it's going to be 49 degrees. Now that we've identified the measure of angle 3, can we move to the other side of the diagram? Yeah, how are we going to now move to the other side of the diagram? Kelly?
90 minus 49 to find 2.
Exactly. Go back to the given. It told us angle 2 is a complement to angle 3. Well, angle 3 is 49, so angle 2 has to be 90 minus 49, which is going to be 41 degrees. All right, now let's fill in the other side of this diagram. Tell me what you see. What can we do?
Angle 1 is supplementary to angle 2.
Excellent. We have our straight angle right here, so these are supplements. So angle 1 is going to be 180 minus 41, which is going to be 139 degrees. All right, what else do you see? Christine?
Angle 8 is up to angle 1.
Excellent. Angle 8 is a supplement to angle 1, which means angle 8 is 41 degrees. What else do we see? Well,
Angle 7 is supplementary to angle 2.
good. Angle 7 is a supplement to angle 2, and it's also a supplement to angle 8, which means angle 7 is 139 degrees. These are easy points to get on a quiz, right? You don't want to mess this up. I'm telling you there's going to be a question like this on the quiz. We need to know that complement does not mean congruent, because that's usually the mistake I see. All right. You have Do we know what time the bell rings? 22? 20. Okay, so bell's going to ring, so we're done. Study for your do now quiz. What is that do now quiz going to consist of? The theorems. I'm going to give you a piece of paper. Write down the 4 theorems. Give me back the paper. No, you just have to write down the 4 theorems. All right, and section 2.4, these are your homework problems. I'll post it on Classroom. So we are done being spoiled. We're going to start having homework every lesson. I know, doesn't sound great, but it's great.